start living.
Introduce my cohorts in crime here. Mr. Daryl Taylor is on the mic.
I knew it all along.
Negro Donna strikes again. Back from assignment in the glittery gold page streets of Hollywood. Mr. Aaron Newworth is here.
I knew it too, but I didn't want to know it.
You know what it is.
Oh, they said that too in the episode. It was great.
Sure did.
Busy uploading his consciousness to the internet, Mr. Russell Latham.
You have my full attention this week. I promise.
It's just like Tron. It's going to be scan lines, and you're going to end up in the machine. And finally, also returning from a little hiatus there, Mr. Rich the Chubto Chubin is also back.
Did anybody else know that it was Rick's last episode? I wish you would have warned us. I'm just saying.
Goddamn cowboy, you look like Probably my favorite line of the show.
What is that woman's name? The one that had all the dirt people in the junkyard. What was her name again? Jonas?
Yes.
And she has Carl hair, too.
Yeah, she has Carl hair.
Did you know that?
Now she does.
In that car, she looked like she could have been Carl or Maggie because they both had the same hairstyle.
Well, just wait till next week. The hair's all over the place.
Are they all doing that? Like, what is the deal with the Carl hair?
Well, soon they'll be bringing back the Aniston look, so they'll all have that.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, I hope not. Anyway, this week's episode was called What Comes After? And Rick, I mean, as Chub Toad sarcastically alluded to, this is the big moment that AMC has been plugging for weeks and weeks and weeks, the quote-unquote last episode of Rick Grimes, because the way it ended up, it sure seemed like it might not be the actual last episode.
No, he's never coming back.
Well, I don't know about all that. But before we get to the recap, we got a little bit of news. Mr. Chub Toad, you want to buzz in with some news?
We do have some news. So first of all, there have been contract renewals.
Did they renew my contract? All right.
Yeah.
And he's doing this podcast.
That's right. This is my last show.
They said in the contract, though, Jen, that doesn't matter how many Buster ratings there are, you still have to read them all. So
fair enough.
You got to start pulling a Talking Dead and recording the Buster ratings like 3 hours before.
Hey, I was very happy to see that amount of responses. I haven't read them yet, but was it like 50-some responses or something?
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Quite a number, but I consider it my sacred duty to get them all out there. I'm well hydrated and ready to go.
There was a couple of I Quit and You shows, which I expected because that ending is
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Tell us all about the news, Rich.
So the contract renewals, Norman Reedus, I believe it's a 3-year contract, $350,000 per episode, which, it's a little bit minimum wage. And he's also going to get advances that fall somewhere in the $50 to $90 million range. So, wow, it's a lot of money.
How many squirrels does that translate to?
Quite a bit.
Well, how much is it for a 22 bullet? Because you just load that up in the gun. I mean, shoot and get squirrels.
Too inexpensive, I believe, is the answer to that question. How much does he get for his chopper show? Is that part of the deal too? Or does the Gorilla Film make that?
Yeah, I think it's just the. It wasn't clear, but it just said it just talked about The Walking Dead. But
no, I'm sure. Yeah, I doubt that they're not all up together. Norman Reedus is too good of a contract negotiation going on to make that happen.
It says the president of programming says of AMC's programming says the deals that we made for Norman and Melissa are franchise deals. So I don't know if it's all Walking Dead franchise or all franchises that AMC
franchise players.
Well, they're going to spin Carol off into a cooking show, right?
You saw that hair, you know.
Carol's cookies and casseroles.
That's right.
So yeah, and well, speaking of Carol, Melissa McBride also got a 3-year contract, and it's estimated to be around total $20 million. Which
guess who ain't dying no time soon.
Yeah,
but here's good too. Where I kind of take a little bit of issue in the pay inequality there, because in the past 2 seasons, Carol has had probably 100 times more dialogue than Norman has. So, I'm just saying, proportionally, she seems to be more of the player in the episodes than he is. I don't know.
Yeah, but this is going forward. This isn't talking about.
All I have to say to that is wait till they renegotiate Denai Guerra's contract before he
exactly.
Yeah, well, talking about
back up all the money trucks for that.
Yeah, but I think they're going to have to though. I mean, her star is on the rise through her Hollywood, with Black Panther and everything else. Like Aaron says that each time it's no longer Walking Dead, Denai Guerra.
I mean, I hear what you're saying as far as Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus. Just look at his status on the show. He talks every episode now. He's doing everything, but also, I mean, we like Melissa McBride as an actor. She's good on the show, but she's just on the show. Norman Reedus has a brand, it doesn't come down to. It's not a case of like he's the man and she's the woman. So that it's just more. He's a more recognizable presence. He has his own spin-off or his own show where he rides around motorcycles. People want to watch that.
The other thing, I did some math on it, and so if it's a 3-season deal, it's 48 episodes. If you look at it that way, her rate is like $416,000 an episode. And so if her pay is based on, I mean, I know they said it's franchise deals, but since they didn't kind of sweeten the pot for her, I wonder if that's more or less just like Walking Dead and probably some promotional obligations. With Reedus, I think a lot of that comes into play with what he's doing elsewise with the network, and then I'm assuming that whatever movie they decide to do or come up with, he's probably going to have a pretty big part in that. So I think a lot of his incentive side of it is based on that. So I mean, if you're just going to look at what appears to be a per episode parody look, it looks like Melissa's getting slightly more scratch than Normus on just a flat per episode basis.
And they do need to keep him too. Like without Rick and I mean. Norman Reedus is basically the lead kid, like the character you probably most want to have as like the front of your poster at this point. Like that's what you have to go with.
Yeah, it's kind of like how they do Black Avengers, for example. Some of the actors get that lump sum in the beginning, and then others, they'll get more down the line. So
well, that's why I have a question, and Russ, you probably could answer, and Aaron too. So it says the report says that Reedus will make $350,000 per episode, along with guarantees and advances that allegedly fall in the $50 to $90 million range. When they say advances, so are they saying they're just giving him some of that per episode up front in advance, or is that something?
Sign on the dotted line, and we will give you a check for $10 million.
Yeah, he got it now. Yeah, that's what he got now.
As opposed to waiting every episode to get the check. I mean, that's not how it works, obviously. But it's here's that money right away. Buy that Atlanta house that Carl's gonna have, like whatever. Just don't go.
It's super cheap. Don't do any other projects.
Yeah, from my understanding though, so in that $50 to $90 million, all those $350,000 per episode's included in that number.
Presumably, yes. That's like the basic way to look at it. I'm sure there's more finer details, but I think that's the best approach to take, as far considering how much we know about the paychecks of other people.
Yeah, and there was another report, I guess a week ago, that somebody posted up that showed Reedus. It wasn't Walking Dead related. It was like, this is what Hollywood TV stars are making, and they had Reedus pegged at $1 million an episode. And so, given that, again, if you do the math on 48 episodes, $1 million an episode, that's $48 million. So it's looking like that's fairly accurate. That the $50 to $90 million is inclusive of what his per show rate is. And again, like you don't know what that means outside of it. My guess is in addition to just the shows themselves and whatever spinoffs they do, it's whatever promotional stuff they want them to do. Like, hey, you're going to do 4. Not that they don't do it now, but like, hey, you're going to do 4 episodes of Talking Dead, or maybe I don't know, maybe it includes like other Comic-Con appearances or what. Maybe they're finally just saying, hey, we're going to start overly compensating you for showing up at these fan events.
Well, I mean, not to jump into the other part of the news or whatever, but they might include appearances in the movies that they're talking about doing.
That's especially for Reedus. That's what I got out of that.
And he's like a voice of some of the video games and whatnot too. Like there's all the like supplemental stuff. So it's And dude just had another baby, right? So get that money.
Yeah.
Get those college educations paid for already.
I mean, considering this is still the show that still had like what is it, the second highest under Game of Thrones, I think,
Viewership?
in terms of viewership.
No, it's fallen quite a bit.
So what is it?
Yeah.
So what? I mean, what is it now?
It's doing well. Like,
it's doing well enough. I mean, they have no shortage of commercials. I know that.
Well, because I mean, if like Rios was like, you know what, I'm out of here too. I can make movies or do whatever else. That puts the show in a weird position as far as, well, we lost most of our marquee characters. Are we going to pay like Denai Guerrera everything we can now because she's gone? Then it's like it's up to Carol. And if Carol's gone, it's like who's left? Who's left on this thing?
Yeah,
you Jeffrey Morgan here for the long haul.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I'm sure they're going to add a bunch of new people for next season and so on, but at least they want to still have a core group.
Exactly, and they have to figure that out as far as if they're talking about we have 10 years worth of Walking Dead stories to tell. Obviously, you're not going to keep on every single cast member forever.
Right.
So it's a matter of, while we test out other people that can presumably take some kind of higher lead role, see what the audience react to, we need to keep something that's like a pretty stable line. And if Daryl Isley Riot campaign may have died down a bit, I still think people are pretty into the idea of him being on this show.
Yeah, on top of learning from interviews, because I did watch the Talking Dead thing, and seeing how there were actors that were going to leave earlier than they did. So this is to keep, this is I can see them saying, we don't want this problem. We want to be able to write the stories we're going to write and plan them out without having to change them last minute.
I have a question for you guys. And maybe it was answered in some form on the Talking Dead. I didn't watch it. But do you think they would have killed Carl off if they already knew Andrew Lincoln was going to leave?
I don't know.
Andy Lincoln said in the interview with why am I blanking? Nicole Brown.
Yeah, the teary-eyed.
Yeah, that he was planning on exiting last season.
Right.
But because they killed Carl, he decided that it was probably a bad move to do all of that at once. And so he pushed his departure into this season. So he wasn't super clear on if he vocalized that, like if he went to Gimple and said, look, I'm done after the end of the season, or if after he read this.
Well, he did say he spoke to them.
Yeah. Well,
remember they did say in discussions, they were like, well, his death could have been sitting at that tree. That could have been his death at the end.
Yeah, he said he wrote it that way, actually, too.
Yeah, they wrote it that way, but they had discussions. So it seems like, when he said discussions, I'm thinking it had to be, he was talking to, they were really talking about leaving. He was talking about leaving last season. So
I wonder if he was more vocal about it, if they would have changed that around. Sounds like a step up. I
don't know. I mean, the next generation. Man, I know one thing. If I was Carl, I kind of would be a little mad if I was the actor.
I'm very curious about the behind the scenes of that, as far as if
it negates everything with the age thing, right? Because they're jumping in time again. So it's like.
Well, here's my question. Okay, do you think AMC would have been better off and gotten higher ratings if they had not told everyone that it was Rick's last episode?
No. I mean, that's the reason why they did it. And even regardless of my opinion on the episode, it's not high. I would have been way more, I think, excited about what they did here if they killed off Rick and nobody knew that was going to happen. Like, if Andrew Lincoln's whole thing was hidden from everybody, like if you're in a bigger vacuum, I still have certain thoughts on this episode, but the reaction to, they got rid of him, and then didn't immediately announce there'd be movies, I feel like I'd have that'd be neat. That would be a neat thing to see. It wouldn't translate to ratings because nobody knows what's happening.
I almost think it would have made a bigger media splash though if they hadn't. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying. They wanted to promote to get more people to watch, more eyes on an episode or whatever. But I just feel like it would have been a bigger media thing. It was like, Walking Dead kills off his main character. And
probably.
What does that translate to though? Because you're just like, okay, so they killed the guy off. Why should I go back to start watching it again? Like, I don't know what that means as far as viewers.
That's the thing too. I don't know. Like,
I see a lot of backlash from fans of the show too.
But the show is so based on telling you ahead of time. Like they've been doing that for so long. Like everything is a big deal. Like like they constantly do that. You watch out. This is the episode you're gonna want to watch.
I mean, they based it all around the premiere of Jesus. Negan was so long, 2 years ago. Whenever when they killed off Glenn, I mean, that was the whole.
Even before that,
we didn't know he was gonna die. But somebody's gonna die.
But they made a big deal about the Glenn thing before that. Remember with the dumpster? They made a big deal about that.
Or just the nature of season finales, where like Norman Reedus says it's gonna be hard, guys, or I teared up while filming this, or whatever he says. Those kind of things.
What he didn't tell you was he was peeling onions at the time. So
yeah, there's a lot of it's right next to the AMC sets in Atlanta.
Well, I kind of think that after it got announced in what was it, Comic-Con in the summer, it was announced that he was going to leave during the season, they should have just left it at that, and then just said, kind of teased with any episode could be his last or something like that. He at least had a little bit of mystery around it.
I see that. I see where you're coming from with that, and I can agree to an extent. But at the same time, if you just tease that idea and it's like week after week of Rick not dying, while the ratings might, I don't know what they do, but it's like you're just jerking us around every week. Maybe it happens. That's the Glenn Dumpster thing and expanded essentially as far as.
What's so strange is how Talking Dead has gone up. Like it seems to only benefit Talking Dead more than it does the actual show in terms of ratings. Yeah, they went up. They went up for this episode.
The other part of this news, as far as that being Rick's last episode, that they didn't bother to even tease at all, was it's Maggie's last episode too.
For now, yeah.
Well, they said for now. That's what they left. They said her story is done for now.
They didn't even talk about it on Talking Dead. I mean, it was just not even mentioned.
I don't think she's gone.
That wasn't her last episode.
I've seen stories all week saying it's her that this left her behind.
I only read that they said her story for now is not complete, but they said for her story is pause for now.
I didn't see her in the promo.
I didn't see her in the rest of this season because she's done for the season because she's got that other show she has to work on.
Yeah, she's only contracted for I believe 5 or 6 episodes, and obviously only 5 episodes. So she appears for maybe 1. But yeah, as far as we know, this is the last major proportion involving Lauren Cohen on the show for now. I like to think, or I kind of, Andrew Lincoln obviously he's a bigger factor in things and it matters, and he has movies and whatnot coming. But the Lauren Cohen thing, that doesn't seem like it's not like she asks to be off the show. She's in bitter pay disputes with the network about how to handle this, which is why she's not on it. So it's like I think they're a little less welcoming to let's give a big send off for her as well. I think it's more a bit at odds between. If I have to speculate, has she been on Talking Dead at all recently? I don't know.
No, actually, I don't think she has.
I think this season she has it all. Jake's Talking Dead like 2 or 3 times this season, but not.
Well, she's also she's in the movies.
Yeah, that could be a reason. That could be a reason because they're still doing the negotiations.
Also, AMC's making movies now. We just got to sidestep this thing.
Yeah, but it's a TV movie though, right?
They're making TV movies, which maybe a Fathom event or something will do because that works for them. But not only that, because the Breaking Bad thing got announced too. It's like, so they're just making TV movies. Like that's their thing now. Like that's what we're doing.
Is it TV movies solely because the way Gimple said it on the show, I got the impression that at least one of them will be a made-for-TV AMC movie. But he kind of gave the hint that 1 or 2 of them could be theatrical. At least that's what I took.
I would assume it's a Fathom event, a one-night screening.
What he labeled them as are AMC movies. That's what he labeled them as, AMC movies. Meaning they're going to start to do these 2-hour movies that won't be specifically, because they said Rick is not going to be shown again on the TV show proper, but he will be in another bunch of the AMC movies, and maybe some of the clip, they might do some of the internet YouTube kind of thing clips.
Shorts,
yeah. So they said that it's almost like they're saying there's two different worlds now, even though it's still in the same universe. But the one world is the AMC movies, right? That'll be dealing with whatever that organization was that, we'll get to that. And then the TV show itself, they'll deal with that with their communities.
Well, I'm looking at this at superherohype.com, and one of the paragraphs is part of Kimball's multi-year plan for the Walking Dead universe. There are other projects currently in development, including additional films, special series, digital content, and more. Some of the stories will relate to The Walking Dead, as fans know it, while others will be standalone stories that break into new creative territory.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they do streaming-only stuff for the app.
Yeah.
Because it's no coincidence that they've been doing this little thing with the app where you pay a little extra and you get the app, and now the announcement of all this AMC stuff that's coming out.
If they can enrich this content to make you want to see it, yeah, sure. I mean, this sounds like a lot of projected ideas as opposed to lockdown things. I mean, announcing 3 movies, it's like, that's a lot. That's a lot to say. And obviously, it's on TV as opposed to like in a theater, so there's like a little less of a kind of risk. Like, people will watch these things, and it's like, okay, there's a lot of Walking Dead ahead, and there's streaming content, and there's Walking Dead babies, and what else is coming?
I mean, the movies could be streaming exclusive first.
Yeah.
Well, and I could see that. I mean, it's just more and more. That's where everybody's going. I mean, we knew Disney had one coming, but today they announced the name of it and all that stuff. So, I mean, everybody's doing it. So it would make sense for AMC to do that. Although I think that they need to start getting some more properties. Back in the day, it was Walking Dead, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, all of that. Now it's, they have a couple of decent shows, and everything else is playing feature movies that they've licensed.
Well, they've been trying to launch shows. It's not like they haven't tried to put any new shows on. It's just that not everything is going to click.
Yeah, who's all in for the Turn movie?
I'm ready for the Low Winter Sun prequel film.
I was just going to say Low Winter Sun.
Yeah, High Autumn Moon. It's coming.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be something. It's just they haven't had the next thing to hit yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, but I mean, it's kind of I haven't even watched this recent season yet, so.
Let's see what happens.
Well, let's talk about something we did watch, which was this week's episode. Season 9, episode 5.
But I was having so much fun, Jim.
You take that fun out of this podcast, mister, right now. You know why we're here.
You know what it is.
You know what it is.
You can't have fun.
We got to do this together. Season 9, episode 5, what comes after? And we just got done talking about what comes after, so that makes sense. It started out with a wounded Rick telling Season 1 Rick to wake up already in his hospital bed. And then Season 1 Rick told present-day Rick to wake up. And then we find that present-day Rick is still where he was when we left him last episode. But he painfully extricates himself from the piece of rebar that had impaled him and gets on his horse, which is still there despite the fact there are a bunch of zombies.
Guys, this is the worst horse in the show. Like, what is going on with this horse? Like, it's like scared of zombies at some point, then it's just milling around, then it's like, fine, I'll stop waiting for dying Rick, then I'll get scared again. This horse sucks. I'm sorry.
And its sucking is inconsistent. Like, when he gets bucked and hits the rebar, those two hordes are each at least 30 to 50 feet away from where Rick and the horse were. This week, they're right on top of this cabin he breaks out of as they're busting through the doors and windows and everything else and coming around, and the horse is just sitting there chewing his cud like, meh.
Hashtag this horse sucks.
Yeah. Horse sucks, yeah.
Get this trending.
We can all agree.
Rick's horse sucks. RHS.
He rides the horse to Rickety house. He takes a little breather and passes out again, and then he is back in his old patrol car with Shane.
Did you guys notice what the house looked like?
Well, I wanted to mention real quick the mailbox says Cardill.
Okay.
As you're going in, shout out to Bill Cardill, who was the announcer voice in the original Night of the Living Dead, and was also the Chiller Theater host here in Pittsburgh for like 25 years. He hosted Saturday Night Scary Movies. So that's a nice little shout out I noticed at the beginning of the episode on the mailbox. What were you going to say about it, Aaron?
That the house is made to resemble like the Evil Dead house. Like it's built that way. There's even a Necronomicon inside the house.
Oh. Was there a banging trap door?
I wish, but I was just like, I was reading like just some stuff like I saw one like, things you missed, and it's like, what did I miss this thing? It's like, oh, there's like they made the house that looks like the Evil Dead house, like Evil Dead Cabin, and then they're like just great guitar, he worked on Evil Dead too. Like there's even a little like a prop Necronomicon that's like in the house, like you have a screenshot. That's what I found. Like, that's neat.
I did not notice. I knew it looked like the house. I didn't realize it was a
I mean, it's Cabin in the Woods, pretty standard looking kind of thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the house of Cabin in the Woods too.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody raise your hand who misses John Bernthal on the show. My hand's up.
And
You were so good in the scene. It was like the high point of this and the Herschel sequence were like the high points for me in this episode.
I was crying as soon as he came on screen, Herschel. I mean, he hadn't even said his line yet. I'm just, I knew it was coming, and I just wasn't prepared for it.
Well, I wasn't high, and I watched it, and I was sad too.
I will say it was nice to see them. I don't know how much they added to this, but as far as seeing them on the show again, sure. Like it is. Like, I was a big fan of John Bernthal when he was on the show. I thought he did a terrific job.
He's the death that made me really feel like he's the death that hit me emotionally. Yeah.
And we'll get to Scott Wilson too. It's like, yeah, especially given that he's passed away, it's like, okay, there's a level here that I can see the show working with. But it's nice to see those actors. And I would say of the cameos we get, the John Bernthal one for me was easily the best as far as what he's saying to Rick. Like there's a neat conversation there, mainly because it's very antagonistic.
There's definitely that. He's just as big a prick as you remember.
And I do love the imagery of like Rick being wounded in these dream sequences. Like I do like these lucid dreams. I like that he's constantly like basically holding his guts in, and like his hands always covered in blood when he's eating his French fries. And like there's some good visual imagery to go with this.
Even though I kind of thought Rick dealt with the Shane stuff already before. Didn't they have kind of a flashback with himself or whatever with Shane?
He saw him like when they're like invading the governor's compound. He saw Wolverine Shane that one time.
Right.
Yeah, so I thought he did, but whatever.
Yeah, as far as
Wolverine Shane.
Yeah, everybody has like that big hair. It's like, what's going on? Right. Well, yeah, I agree with you. That's my issue. Like I like seeing these actors because hey, they're back for a minute. That's cool. But as far as what they're adding, it's not like Rick's like been thinking about past times of Shane or anything. I mean, okay, we'll just get into it now. I am not a fan of these cameos in the show. I think none of them contribute as far as adding something that really makes much sense as far as what's in Rick's state of mind. I get the excuses that have been made as far as everyone talking about like why we chose these people, but it just seems to amount to we couldn't get the people we wanted, and so this was the best we can do. And I don't think that's good.
Well, I enjoyed them being showing up. It's just they added very little weight to what their appearance was or anything. It just really meant nothing. I mean,
yeah.
Jim, you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think more so to me, it just reminded me of like how much better acting we used to have on the show. I mean, how we used to have these characters that were much more iconic than we have now, and like how much I missed that. Like John Bernthal's acting or Scott Wilson's acting on the show. At first, I'm like, oh well, that's cool. They bring it back, whatever. Then I'm just realizing, man, it just made me realize how much better the show was when they were on it. I guess.
I didn't dislike.
Let Daryl go. Hold on.
Well, Chop, would you shut up, I can go? I'm just kidding. I didn't dislike the episode, but it does take away from it knowing he's not dead. Like if he had died, like the whole thing of him talking to Herschel and all of that, saying you gotta let them, like they'll be all right without you. They'll be fine. It had more weight to it if he died.
Right.
But by not dying, it kind of it's a wasted cameo.
Well, it's like it's Scott Wilson talking to the audience essentially. That's what it's like. I don't need you to comfort.
Work.
No, it doesn't. It's like I don't need you to comfort me. I'm watching the show. Let me deal with it how I'll deal with it.
If Rick died, though, I mean that's the thing. If Rick had died, and I don't blame them for not killing Rick off. They want to do other stuff. But if by Rick not dying, doing these little meta conversations mean nothing.
Yeah. I totally get what you're saying by having him, the 11th hour get saved. It takes away all the gravitas from this episode.
Yeah, there's
absolutely correct. I totally agree.
And could have had that whole thing. He got saved and all of that stuff, but not shown it. And then it's a surprise when the movie, or something like that.
If they did this with Glenn in terms of he gets his brain bastard right, but if they had did something where he thought instead of it just being what it was, if they had something where he was thinking to himself, will Maggie be okay without me? And Herschel comes and takes him away. That could mean something. Like that would be something emotional that would mean something. But to do it the way they're doing it with Rick, yeah, it is very weak, and I can understand why people are angry.
And speaking to Aaron's point, real quick, Aaron, I'm sorry. Speaking to your point, it would have made much more sense to have Carl or Lori
or
his
wife, yes, their family. Yeah.
Then what is it, Sasha later or whatever?
See, so you kind of show us by not having Carl, you kind of show us maybe things are not that great with he left.
Like, I think they were. I really think that they probably tried to get Chandler Riggs, and I think there's bad blood between the producers. And
regardless of what they tried, the fact is they didn't get them. And so I didn't like what they did instead of it. Like the Sasha one seems like the most obvious. Like they wanted Glenn. Like it seems like Glenn would have been
because they were not friends like that. They never had any kind of. There was no bond with them. They really didn't interact that much.
Nothing for a pivotal episode like this. Yeah, there's nothing.
You did not look and see her. It was cool. Like I waved, but I watched you on Star Trek, so it's not like I miss you. But yeah, having Sasha on really, it really shows that maybe you did some deaths that you should have did, or you rushed it before you really thought about it.
But leaning on that, leaning on what you said about Herschel, why I don't like this episode, spoilers, is that the things that happen here, none of this does anything for Rick as a character.
No.
And I think that's a huge problem if you're going to kill off Rick's character, or at least in the eyes of these characters, kill off Rick's character. Because if we're ending his entire arc on this series, what are we coming away with? And the answer is nothing, which makes no sense in the context of the show. He doesn't learn anything. He doesn't have any realization about anything. Nothing changes in his mind beyond, I guess I was doing everything the right way, but bad luck. And even if it was bad luck, it denies that because he doesn't even die. Sorry. If he died, then that fits with the actual tone of the show. And guess what the show does every week? It tells you how hopeless everything is. But that's not the case here. Rick goes out a hero. He blows up the bridge of symbolism and dies like.
If anything, what would have been more significant is if you saw each of the other characters dealing with things without Rick, but kind of getting what Rick was trying to say to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead, but I mean, when Maggie makes that decision at the end, it would have had more weight to it if she had come to that decision thinking about something her and Rick had talked about, as opposed to just looking at how pathetic the guy is. Like,
and there's nothing there. There's no emotional weight to it. There's like an inherent you feel bad because this guy's going through this thing, and so you're a human, and so you got
Carol too. Like we should have seen something something where Carol made a decision thinking of Rick, Daryl made a decision thinking of Rick, like showing that it's not futile that what he was trying to get them to listen to. Like it wasn't just for nothing. It did matter. He did kind of do something that mattered to them, and it affected them in a way that yes, they can move on without him. Like they can come together and make better decisions without him. He doesn't have to ride in all the time. Like if they had solved this without Rick, I think probably would have been a better thing to kind of send off the Rick. If they had come to a good decision and saved their communities without Rick doing it. it might have been a little bit better.
Well, yeah, it fits to what both Rick's vision for his society is, as far as we can work together, and it fits with what the show's motto is, as far as people just die on this thing. It's not a big deal. Well, it's a big deal as far as, hey, that person died, but it's not a big deal as far as the circumstance. And honestly, if Rick just fell on rebar and died, like if this whole episode was a damn dream sequence and he just was still on rebar at the end of it, that's also a cheat. But I appreciate that more as far as the show just saying, yeah, this is what happens on The Walking Dead. People die. Like, it sucks, and it's random.
It's terrible.
Which is why something like Lori's death meant a lot. Because it's like, it's not because like she, some crazy, it was just like the situation got out of hand, and she got bit, or whatever, and it sucks. Like, that leaves an impact. This is just like, it's all over the place. It's giving me dreams that Rick's dealing with, and all these other people don't really get what's going on, so it doesn't really matter. Sasha shows up. Like,
it's the emotional send-off that you just don't get unless you die. Like, it doesn't matter if you.
And I think you're right about the whole Green showing up because they couldn't get everybody that they wanted. But I think that part of the subtext they were trying to get there was, if you remember how Sasha went out, she basically sacrificed herself in order to, help the cause. And I think that maybe that was supposed to correlate to a little bit of inspiration of what Rick does at the bridge. I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't think that's not how I read it, but I think that's what they were trying to go for.
But Sasha died trying to make up for being selfish about it. Remember,
all right, but I'm just saying she gave herself to the cause.
She did. I mean, but it's still weird because the reason why she did it was because she effed up.
Right. Yeah. I don't disagree with. There's a logic to why she's there. I may not like this episode. I don't think Gimple and Maggie, I don't think they're idiots. Like, they know, like, okay, we can't get the things that we probably ideally want, so we'll do the best we can with what we have. And they wrote themselves a scenario that makes a level of sense to them, and that you can write about. And the articles have all come out this past week and whatnot. I get that there's a logic to why they're showing up. It doesn't mean anything to me. Like, you can explain it away all day, but it doesn't give you that kind of feeling I wouldn't vote for.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and I mean, I really think, because you talked about the Maggie Negan scene at the end and everything, I really think that we could have done with a little less fever dreams and blacking out and flashbacks and whatnot and all that stuff, and could have maybe added another 5 minutes of scenes with Maggie and Negan and brought more weight to that. Because I thought Jeffrey Dean Morgan killed it in that scene, but it was kind of just jarring and forced in there. It wasn't something built up to or anything.
Well, yeah, it's like watching, if you watch a person in a phone booth crying, it's like, that's really emotional and powerful. It doesn't mean anything to me. Like, that's what I get from that scene. Like,
if they would have dragged that out for another 5 minutes, it would have, I think, been more pathetic. I don't think more time is what.
No, I'm not saying drag out that scene. I'm saying other scenes prior to that. Have more go on, like have Maggie go down there, and then decide I'm going to go back. I don't know. I just wanted more of that interaction between the two of them. Not more of him crying and bubbling and all that other crap. I'm just saying, on top of that,
but that's what they did. But that's the state he was in. So if you go down there and he's not in that state, then when he gets in that state, it seems like it comes out of nowhere. So I have. I mean, we'll get there, but I have a lot of feelings about that.
Real quick, this episode. I'm sorry, I dragged us back into the whole dreams already stuff. What else is happening?
Shane. Okay. Go, Jim. Thank you. He gets back in his old patrol car with Shane. Shane asks him, "How's my baby girl, by the way?"
I know it sounds so disrespectful.
The look on his face.
So disrespectful.
Just that I'm poking you while you're down.
But it's Rick's subconscious doing it.
Yeah, it is himself doing it to him.
True. But it's still awesome.
It's great. I mean, that is good. That he knows him, so that makes sense.
Shane's kind of intent on taking credit for Rick's transformation into an a-hole, and he even kind of forgives him for what went down in the field. But then Rick awakens to find a walker in his face, trying to take a bite out of him. He has to punch his way out of the opposite wall of the house.
I like when Shane's like, wake up! Like, I like how his dream sequences are like jarringly stirred up, and like he gets unconscious. I do, like, again, I think technically there's a lot of good stuff in this episode. I do like Nick Darrow does a good job of directing this thing and giving you some surreal imagery and jarring edits to really intensify the situation.
I know I sound like I don't like it or what I said, but I did still like a lot of the episode. There are things I still enjoyed, but there was problems. I mean, we do have to discuss it. There were issues.
Anne/Jadis arranges for a rendezvous with the helicopter people despite not having an A. Maggie arrives at the door to Alexander's prison and is blocked by Michonne. She tells her, the one thing I had was knowing that I was going to see Glenn's murder die. You took it from me. And Michonne ends up relenting and handing over the keys.
That was kind of quick, right?
Yeah.
That felt kind of quick to you?
I mean, the complaints I have about this whole subplot, honestly, I do like how those two communicate with each other. I think that works for what it's doing.
I do, but if she had said to, like, the way that she spoke to Maggie all throughout this first half of the season, it was like she was full on board with Rick. But then Rick ain't here, and then she talks to Maggie, and it kind of seems like, nah, I hate that mother effer too. Go kill him. Like, she just kind of gave in.
Like that way. I mean, come on.
She didn't do it that way, but she kind of felt, the way she reacted was like, I didn't agree with Rick, really. I tried to because I love him, but in actuality, I really didn't believe that he should be spared.
I didn't quite read it that way. I feel like it's a bit of a shortcut, I would say, as far as how we get these characters to this point so something can happen. Yeah, but I mean, the other way to see it, I mean, you have to truncate it a bit. I get that, but also, what does it come down to? Something like Morgan and Carol, or where Michonne and Maggie have like a slap fight again in the name of what we can do to some person. I mean,
no, they don't need the fight. They don't need them to fight. But it just felt like if she hadn't said all those things prior to this, like she believed in him being kept alive, I probably wouldn't have thought about it. If she had one conversation with Rick saying, I don't know if it might not have been the best idea to keep this dude alive once, just once when they're talking in private. If she had said something, then I can understand her a little bit with the way she gave in.
She could have stayed quiet too, because a lot of Rick's attitude about the whole thing, it was dealing with the letter Carl left.
Jeez.